Everyone is super ticked off about the sentencing of P. Diddy, aka Sean Combs. He was charged with 50 months, which ends up being about 4 years and 2 months in prison. And he's getting a credit for time served equaling 12 months. So he would actually only be able to be serving 3 years, 2 months. And people are already saying that it's very likely that he will get parole. He already has to be on supervised release for 5 years after his prison term. And he has a $500,000 fine. And people are mad. People are mad. They're like, he's done all this horrible stuff. He's this horrible, like, sexual crazed criminal. And he's going to be out like that. And people are mad about it. And I understand that, but let's break down the sentencing in a legal, not moral standpoint, because those are very different. So on a moral level, I agree with everybody else. He deserves more prison time. He has done so many terrible, evil things. We've seen the videos, the video of the hotel, and we know that he's done more, and all the other things that he's done, and all of his plethora of victims in his wealthy wake, right? However, come with me to the legal level. Legal and moral are different. And what's being taken into account is what he was actually charged for and convicted of. So everything that everybody is mad about is not being taken into account in the sentencing. It's only the stuff that he was convicted of. He was only convicted of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. There were only 2 people who the charges were set up for, not the 200 plaintiffs and all the people who made complaints against him. Okay, all those people that Busby was going after, all of their stories, I've listed them before. I will leave to the playlist link below if you don't know about any of that. But he was only charged for 2 counts of prostitution engagement, transportation to engage in prostitution, not even prostitution in and of itself or being a pimp, so to speak. It was transportation to engage in prostitution. He was not charged with the racketeering. He was not charged with the other things, his more serious things. So the conviction comes with he was possibly going to get 10 to 15 years to begin with. And the prosecution was pressing for 11 years. And the judge and the defense was going for time served only, like to not have him serve any prison time, which is what a defense team is supposed to do. Whether or not you agree with the defendant, the defense team were being zealous advocates and doing what they could for their client. We don't have to like the client to accept that they were doing their job that they were paid to do. Okay? And so the judge went and met in the middle with 4 years and included 12 months already served. Morally, it feels like a defeat, but legally that makes sense because he was charged with 2 counts of engagement to commit prostitution. So those were the lesser of the crimes to begin with. And the conviction for a prostitution ring, the conspiracy of racketeering, all of that stuff, the jury found that to be a government stretch, or at least that's how I interpreted that, was that there wasn't a lot of strong connection there, but the prosecution was trying. And it was also taken into account, please realize that Cassie was one of the 2 counts, and she already had her own outside settlement. So it seemed like it would be committing a form of double jeopardy to have him get charged harshly for hers. Yes, we've seen the brutal video, but he was not charged. Keep in mind that he was not charged with paraphernalia. He was not charged with drugging people. He was not charged with SA or DV. He was not charged with hitting and abusing people in any way. So while we all recognize and know and believe that he did all of those things, he was not charged with those things. He was not convicted of those things. So people were like, this isn't justice. This isn't justice. In the legal law sense, it is justice in that way. Morally, it feels like he should have more. And I agree with that. But this is just one of those really poopy situations where the law is and where the morals are not on the same level. And I say that over and over because what we are all revved up about is that P. Diddy did so many terrible things to so many people, but he was not charged with all of those terrible things for all of those people. He was charged with transportation to engage in prostitution with 2 people, and he was found guilty of those 2 counts. And yes, I agree, and we see it all the time, that when you have the money, what you can pay for is lawyers who can spend more time on your case. Most of us, we have to have a lawyer who is balancing like 10 other cases at the same time. He can pay people enough to be focused on him. He can pay loads of other lawyers to divvy up the work. It's like, okay, this person is in charge of this one thing. This person is in charge of this one thing. It's not 2 people in charge of 200 things that end up being 100 things each. So yes, and when you have money, it's not that you can, it feels like you can pay for justice, but you can pay for the defense that you need, right? You can pay to fly in experts who speak on your behalf. You can, and in Diddy's case, it might very well be that he can, and that was part of the problem with him, is that he was, intimidating and paying off witnesses and stuff like that. And that's where the paying for justice comes from. But I know everyone is mad, everyone is hurt, everyone feels defeated, but legally this adds up. Morally, not so much. But again, please understand, what he was charged with was not all the other stuff for those 200 people. It was just 2 counts for 2 people. And getting credit for time already served is legally very common, because before they were charged and not convicted, they were being held for whatever reason. And judges have to work legally within the law, because if the judge, please understand that the judge also has a place where if he tries to overstep and goes, you know what, 50 years in prison or something extreme and crazy, the appellate court can take that into account and then overrule the whole thing. So the judge has to be mindful of the appeals court saying, okay, the judge was really overstepping their boundaries and we're going to overrule his stuff, which could mean even less of a sentence. So judges are very aware of that. And the judge was trying to find the middle ground. And nobody believes Diddy's apologies that he's a changed man and he's been humbled and he had a rough journey, blah, blah, blah. Now, bro, you made some terrible choices because you're a terrible human being, and you're finally getting a teeny tiny teaspoon taste of your medicine. So I just wanted to come up, and again, I believe that he deserves more. Legally, I understand where we came from, and it sucks. I understand that it sucks. And he can be charged with other things in the future. Okay? He can be charged for other people in the future. That's just where we are with what he was convicted with, not all the stuff we know about. Okay? So we're going to take a breath, and we're going to realize that just because something doesn't turn out the way we want, because this didn't turn out the way he wanted, he also thought that he would be able to get, like, he would be popped off, and he's trying to continue with that. But yeah, we will see what other charges he gets, because Busby has said that he does have other charges he wants to bring, and the $500,000 fine. The man is like a multi-millionaire. $500,000 is chump change to him. I think it should have at least been a full mill. But again, the judge was finding the legal middle ground. So, sorry to the victims who maybe feel robbed or who do feel robbed. And that's where we are. I will see you in the next one.